Welcome back to Naruto Shippuden Anime Review, Part 14. This was discussing a pretty much a mostly anime mixed with a little bit of canon stuff. It is the past arc, the Locus of Konoha. Yep, a lot of this stuff is mostly a lot of standalone episodes. There's a couple multi-parters in here, but mostly put it's a lot of standalone episodes that mostly put kind of just be untold tales told from the perspective of the supporting characters. The first three episodes are focused on Naruto, like when he became Naruto's teacher. It's pretty much his early days, and this, of course, is three-parter. When does this take place? Prior to events of the series. I would say about a year or two before the events of the series. Yep, and of course, in the three episodes, they meet Kakashi. Lucky enough, they don't have where Kakashi, well, Naruto first meets Kakashi just yet. Not really, no. Yep. Now, episode 179, this one's quite interesting because this one takes place it takes place kind of currently with the same episode that pretty much had just prior to Naruto's team basically where Team 7 first met Kakashi. Yeah, mostly just him going to Naruto's apartment. They don't show here when he goes to visit Sakura's home or Sasuke's apartment, but it's an interesting one nonetheless. 180. Inari's courage put test. This one is quite interesting. Inari, who was the grandson of the bridge builder, yeah, him and the bridge builder do come back in this episode. And they're here for this episode, but the following one. Basically, they're here to help rebuild the village. Now, this one's quite interesting because the flashback for this one picks up like almost immediately after episode 19 of the original Naruto anime, where after Zabuza's defeat, where basically they're on the way back to the Hinley Village, but Naruto has to go back because he forgot his coupon. So they run some remnants of Gonzo's basically subordinates. Naruto, Sasuke team up to basically deal with him, and of course Inari basically just deals with it, and it's a great follow up to basically what happened with Zabuza. And there's something that takes place not long after this, but this is the first one that takes place. You can tell immediately after the events of that one. Next one, Naruto School Revenge. This one, when I was watching it, because a lot of these ones you can tell when it takes place because of Sakura's length of her hair. This one, from what I can tell, is before the tuning exam. And this one, believe it or not, actually got a follow-up. Yes. Where they have this character called Mr. Ostrich. He's this ostrich, got these three bow ties on him. Mostly, it's mostly called Naruto School Revenge. Yeah, it's mostly about this duel that happens in Western Town, where this one guy has this vendetta. You have to kill this one guy. Turns out, nope, he's not the actual guy he was after. It was probably, and turns out that was by complete accident. It's an interesting episode. 182, this one's really interesting. Now, the flashback for this one takes place not long after the tuning exams. I would say it takes place, from what I can tell, not long after Tsunade showed up. And basically, this is definitely before the events of, like, before Sasuke Achievable stuff. Though Sasuke is wearing his outfit he wore, like, at the start of that. It's not immediately at the tuning exams. I would say this is, like, not long after the events of Search for Tsunade. Where they team up with Gaara, who actually is joining the regular forces, because they build this in a flashback in this show. He's joining the regular forces after Naruto changed them. And of course, Sakura is basically scared of him at first, for good reason, because he tried to kill her when they last saw each other. Though he has changed. And also, I should point out, though, his subordinates call him Lord Gaara, which, that is interesting, because this is before it became Kazekage. And basically, they're teaming up to deal with some bandits on the border between Land of Fire and the Land of Wind. And while this is going on, there's also conspiracy in the army while trying to kill Gaara. Lucky enough, they team with each other. Lucky enough, they deal with that pretty easily. I think so most of the episode. The bandits thing is just a minor thing of a fort that just... I think this is also the same fort that shows up at the start of Naruto Shippuden. Yep. 183, Naruto's Outbreak. This takes place like the very first day that Tsunade basically is like the day after she was installed as Hokage, we had this sort of massive, supposedly an outbreak of a chakra virus. Really isn't. Yeah, it's a bit of a waste of time of an episode, but yeah, it's not really brought up very much. Yeah, I like another episode, which is basically completely forgettable. Next up was Team 1010. This one is quite interesting. Now, in the case of this one takes place not long after Konoha Crush. One of a few that takes place after that. Though it's not the Konoha Crush. Mostly after Search from Tsunade, I'd say not long after, but before the Sasuke retrieval stuff. And from what I can tell, just before Rock Lee's recovered. Yeah, I want a few of them basically that deal with that. This is mostly a Tenten episode, which I enjoy Tenten episodes because she's a fun character, and it's interesting though the anime did a lot with her than the actual manga. And here's the fun fact about Tenten. Apparently, this is Kishimoto's favorite character to draw, despite the fact a lot of the time he didn't get much to do. Yep. Now, mostly put, this is basically a small level threat in this one, where, okay, they go to this ninja lab, and basically Tenten's basically gushing at seeing all these weapons, and basically Neji points out to Naruto that Tenten uses basically teleportation jutsu, which is similar to the summoning jutsu, which, okay, that's interesting. That's similar to that. And she's basically well trained in tools, and, well, get a chance to haul the tools, deal with a couple of thugs basically trying to rob the place. It's a great standalone episode. Now, as for the rest, Animal District. This is basically full up to what the Naruto's Revenge. Basically, the officer's come back. His name is Condor, and he's basically a ninja, an ostrich ninja, which is interesting. Where basically Naruto teams up with Kotsuko. He's a minor character in the series. He doesn't do much of anything at all. This actually is the first time, aside from the Akatsuki Suppression arc, that he does anything in this series. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's almost like this character is just there just for laughs. Oh, there is a short basically kind of asks, what's under the bandage under his nose? The answer? Never revealed because the thing ended before he could do it. So basically, he put together a team of Naruto, Rock Lee, and Shino. And of course they ask, have you three teamed before? Well, in the case of Shino, Naruto has teamed with him for a mission, but it was at the Sasuke retrieval. Kind of the same thing with Rock Lee. Though from this, basically, you could say this is because Sasuke is nowhere to be seen as one. It's presumed this is probably just before is leaving the village. It's possible. But when it takes place, no idea. Medicine of Youth. Another one takes place after Search for Tsunade. This is a really kind of fun one, where Naruto puts on the green suit that he was given back in Search for Tsunade arc, and he basically does it as a tribute for Rock Lee. You know, get the special flowers that he's supposed to be given. Great standalone episode. Next is the only other multi-part in this one. It's a two-parter that takes place during the time skip, which basically has Naruto and Jiraiya basically do some genjutsu training, and of course you have Gamakichi. It's this gay toad which trains in jutsu, and then of course they go to this village which Dry went to, and it's under control of the right hand of Hanzo the Salamander, which they defeat him and his summoning in the following episode. It's a really interesting two-parter. Next up is Sasuke's Paw Encyclopedia. This one, from what I can tell, because this is also the one that features Granny Cat, which this is a canon character and does explain basically the first time chronologically when Sasuke first met Granny. Well, not exactly first I met her, but she's an old ally of, well, the Chia clan. When it takes place, also they have a brief cameo by, of all people, Granny Cat's granddaughter, who is blushing at Sasuke, despite the fact that she doesn't end up with him at the end of the series. Nope, she ends up with frickin' Kiba. Why Kiba? I guess Kishimoto wanted him up with somebody, so why not her? Now you're probably curious though, when does this take place? Before the tuning exam. That's my personal guess. It's probably for the tuning exam. it's a great standalone episode, and yeah. Next one is basically Naruto Soldier. This one, from what I can tell, is not long after events of the Konoha Crush. Yeah, definitely, because it feels like, though, it definitely feels that way. Even though Naruto was here, is perfectly fine, but it's a great standalone episode. Because it does introduce the Eternal Genin, which he does come back after this. He comes back in a later arc of the series, which I think is fantastic. Yeah, great standalone episode. It's really enjoyable to watch. It's mostly basically about the fact he knew the second third Hokage, the fact he went to the second Hokage's cave, which that was interesting. It's a great standalone episode, and also has to deal with the group of Anime Ninja, which basically are from the Hidden Stone Village, which that's interesting. Yeah. Though I thought this was really weird for the animation, where apparently they kept it such a secret of where village these Genin are from, and all these Genin, with the exception of their leader, has got the symbol on their forehead. I don't know if that's animation error or whether it's done on purpose. This next one, oh yeah, this one you can obviously tell when this takes place. Like, next one is Neji Chronicles, which takes place during the events of Konoha Crush. It simply put what he was up to during the events of it, which, that's interesting. Because, basically, he and Tenten basically run into each other, basically, after his match with Naruto. And, of course, with Sasuke match going, of course, they hear the commotion outside with the Hidden Sand and Sound Village, basically, Techno Village. And pretty much their basically thing is basically when they find out that Hinata was kidnapped by two shinobi from the Hidden Cloud Village. Yep, the Hidden Cloud Village. And my guess is the reason why they did this one, and this is my personal theory, they probably did this as probably an apology for the fact that Hinata is nowhere to be seen during the events of Konoha Crush. This kind of explains what they were up to, where she was kidnapped by the Hidden Cloud Village, though she was rescued by Neji, Tenten, and Kiba, which, that's cool. I love the fact they did that. And probably the best moment of the whole episode was when Neji's fighting one of them, and then all of a sudden, Heshi, Hinata's father, shows up, and basically he beats the crap out of them for simply kidnapping his daughter. But at least this time, they're not bending his head on a platter this time, unlike the last time he had to fight the Hidden Cloud Village. Absolute great standalone episode. By far, great episode focused on Neji, and I like the fact that this is now it features Tenten, and this is actually the only one I can think of that features Kiba in these flashbacks. A lot of time he doesn't do a lot of anything, but yeah, great standalone episode. Yeah, it's mostly put just a story told by Neji to Team Konohamaru as part of the Hidden League newspaper. Next one is Man Who Died Twice. This one, from what I can tell, is definitely during when... I would say this is just prior to Vincent Chunin exam, because the Hokage is still alive. Yep, that's all I can tell. Because he's still alive, because after Chunin, because during Chunin exam, because during the Konoha Crush, he got killed off. So this is before the Chunin exam. And there's this character pops up in here. I'm like, wait, did they reuse this character design? Because it was a character similar to this, with a similar hair color that was seen in the original Naruto Shippuden series, the original Naruto series, which I think his character may be killed off. I don't know. Yeah, there was this mystery around this one guy part of Armored Black Ops, but if this guy was Armored Black Ops, why would he dress like a normal common citizen? Why don't he wear a cloak and wear a mask? Yeah, this makes no freaking sense at all. He was summoned by Black Ops to basically find a spy, which he did. This guy basically developed a new system. And it's also the first time we get a chance to hear the Elders' names for the first time in the series, which, that's interesting. It's an interesting one, basically. It's kind of like a ghost story one, but it's definitely something basically to write home about. This one, worst three-legged race. Oh boy. This is probably after the Zabuza arc. Yeah, this one, oh my gosh. Like, apparently, the series didn't learn from their mistake. They brought back the same animator who did episode 167, because the animation for this episode is terrible. Oh my gosh. And this is probably by far Naruto's most embarrassing story. Because there is a stupid moment happens this one. There's an accidental kiss once again between Sasuke and Naruto. Yep. But this is probably something Naruto never wants to talk about because, well, it's a filler. So, what you gonna do? Team 7 is basically sent to retrieve a treasure for the sister feudal lord, which is this ugly teddy bear with this fish's mouth. I'm like, okay. And basically, Naruto and Sasuke, the whole episode, had this ball on their hand, and basically, they had to go use that a couple times. First with number 1, number 2. And it's, oh yeah, this was up in 3 days. Like, really? Yeah. I would say of all these standalone episodes, this one's the worst one. Not times animation, but the story as well. Next one, Team 10's Teamwork. There's actually a couple more of these ones. There's one more of this one, and that's it. This one is quite interesting. This one, I would say, this is, from what I can tell, presumably before the events of the Chunin exam, because Sasuke still wears his regular outfit. There's no mention of the bite mark on him. Not really, no. And this basically is all about Shikamaru in this one. Yep. Absolute great episode. It was with some bandits, and the fact that it was thanks to Shikamaru's genius, they would defeat the demons really easily. And overall, really fun episode. The only reason I can say this took place before the Chunin exam, because Naruto does not know the Rasengan yet. Yep. Next one is Drive to Dark. This one is probably just prior to the Sasuke Chivar, because he's wearing his black outfit he wore during the events of the Konoha Crush and the Chunin exam. Well, during the last part of it. Yeah, where basically he saves the little girl falling off a cliff. And the thing is, starts off with him and his team basically just happen to come across this very house. And he has a flashback seeing this little girl, Noho, which, well, he sees her once here, and then he sees her again at the end of the episode. And the thing is, he and Kakashi are assigned to investigate good bandits, while Naruto and Sakura were assigned to be a bodyguard for a little girl. Which, interesting to say the least. Not the first time Naruto's pulled bodyguard duty, but generally put, he's actually pretty good at it, because the thing is, none of the people he was sent to protect actually has died, which makes him good for bodyguard missions. Though some people get kidnapped or at least get injured, but they don't actually die. But it's a fun little episode, and it's interesting though that this is actually the end of the flashback stuff. Now, there's actually a bit canon stuff in these episodes that I kind of call bullcrap on. Now, Shikaku was called for an important meeting. What meeting is this? With a feudal lord, where the elders, including the idiot Danzo, was there. Where, like, they figure out what happened with the hidden leaf. They attack, and they need some aid, like perfectly fine, but we can. And of course, Danzo pointed out that we need a new Hokage right now. I'm like, really? What's wrong with Snotty? She's a Koba. Okay, fine. So I'm feeling for her. And of course, Shikaku obviously nominates Kakashi, which that seems pretty reasonable. And then Danzo foolishly claims that this whole thing is basically blames on the teachings of Third Hokage. I'm surprised Shikaku, with a lot of respect for Third Hokage, I'm surprised he didn't basically get up his chair, walk over to Danzo, and punch him clearly right in the face. Or I don't know, try to strangle him with his Shadow Paralysis Jutsu, or the Shadow Strangulation Jutsu. Or basically take a kunai right to his freaking face for his comments about the Third Hokage. Because he had a lot of respect for the Third Hokage. Minopi's like, nope, not Kashi. Point me as the next Hokage. And Theo was like, okay, you'll be Hokage for now. He never officially becomes Hokage. Nope. He really wants position so badly. And this actually isn't brought up again until the start of our next arc. But yeah, I'm sure a lot of people basically like, Danzo. The idiot Danzo is basically temporary Hokage. But lucky enough, it lasts for one story arc. And by the end of our next story arc, he's done. Yeah, thank God, because he's probably by far, I think of all the characters in the course of the series, he's probably the most hated character. I mean, I never give a damn about this character at all. He's not interesting. He's boring. And his methods are complete utter nonsense. And the fact he was obsessed with his position so badly. For years, he was obsessed by it. Yep, by the way, And just be curious though. Yeah. Does anyone find out ever that he's the one who killed the frog? Nope. Don't worry, he's taken care of by the very next arc. And I'm thinking of like, oh yeah, and I'm like cheering the whole time what happens with him. But I'll discuss that later on, okay? So, now I'm going to say this arc, 10 episodes, they're good. Three-legged race is the worst one of all of them. But, not with the exception of that one, none of these ones are all fully, they're not that bad. They're actually pretty good episodes, nonetheless. But, yeah, not much to say these episodes are good. Okay, so that's a particular review. Next review, My Hero Academia, and that Comic Corner. And then maybe if I got time, I'll probably do a couple more videos after that, okay? Next video. Bye.